Yes.
I'm Jack Thomas, and I'm running to be mayor. And it's because I love this town. It's in my DNA. It's probably under my fingernails. Some of you may know, but I'm the fourth generation of my family to call Park City my home. And Marguerite and I are raising that, or have raised that fifth generation, can call themselves Parkites. And that's an amazing experience to raise children in this community. And it's an amazing experience to grow up in it, and to have grandparents and great-grandparents that live there. And so you get this spectrum of time that is very, very interesting. Because I remember when Park City was barely an operating, functioning town. I remember that we had planks across the road going to my great-aunt Name's house in the 50s, where there's only one store in town. You could barely find any fresh produce in that place. And so I have this appreciation for the past, but I also have this sense of responsibility about the future, because I've got this spectrum of time with my family that really drives home the importance of where we go in our next evolution in this community. Marguerite and I started a business in Park City in 1989, and that's an architecture and planning business. I have a degree in planning and geography and a master's in architecture. And over the last 24 years, we have designed buildings in every neighborhood in our town. And if you know what that process is like, you engage with the talents of great people like Andrew Parker, and you become close in that process. And that family of people that work on that project become intimate with you the rest of your life. And I've done things like that in our town. Everything from the Egyptian theater and that restoration. There was a teamwork of great people. It's never, ever one person. It's always a group of us. It's always a community of people that participate in this process. And I love that about architecture. I love that about planning. And it's how we grow to be a bigger community. And that passion and that interest drove me into the Planning Commission. And my friends were saying, "Are you crazy? That's going to destroy your business."
And your marriage, right?
And my marriage. Amazingly, after 31 years, we're still together. But the Planning Commission, I think, was very interesting for me, because I learned about how the rubber hits the road in this community with regard to the laws. I mean, the Planning Commission has to abide by the laws in the community. And they also get to interact with the community and take in public hearing. And that's where you really learn the real good stuff, okay, of who we are. That's when you really learn what's in the hearts and the minds of all of us that live here. And through that process, since 2004, I might add, full terms, by comparatively speaking, making a slight inference to someone else, I learned that we also need to have someone creative on the policy side of this equation, because every decision that we will make in the next 4 years, with the growth and anticipated development we see at the resort bases, at places like Bonanza Park and Iron Horse, and some other places close to the historic district of our community that are in process that I can't talk about. Tall, right next to us. Anyway, those things are in process, and I think it's important that we have a mayor and a leader that understands that that process needs to be respected, and that the values of this community that we talk about, that we learn through our visioning process, those values of trying to keep Park City through this process, that small town character, that sense of community, that natural setting. Those things and how we interpret those things are fundamental. And so when I say small town, I mean I want to know what happens with the first 3 or 4 stories. I'm not talking about 5 to 10 stories. I want to keep the scale consistent with the mass form scale of our community, of our historic districts. I want to see that the sense of community doesn't mean we become a mountain urban environment. I don't think that's what we meant when we did our visioning process in 2009. I don't think that's who we want to be. And so we really have to get into those details and that level of discussion during this campaign to see where the difference is between the candidates. My sense is that the decisions that we make can either make us more urban and change the character if we do things like add mass transit, create an intermodal hub as Park City, connecting to resort bases and other canyons and other parts of the community and out to the county. That changes our character. And having studied mass transit, I know for a fact that every time you build mass transit, people will come. It's like that baseball field in Ohio, right? Or is it Iowa?
Iowa.
Sorry if I offended you. So, I mean, by God, they will come. I mean, when they built Bay Area Rapid Transit, more people came. It didn't ease the traffic on the Bay Bridge when they punched BART through to Oakland. It increased at a more rapid rate. So we have to understand the unanticipated consequences of where we're going. And that takes planning. And that takes an understanding of anchoring all our decisions in those values that we share and evolving to this new change of who we are in a way that is both analytical, economical, and aesthetically pleasing. Because what we see is what we experience. And that's what I'm about, folks. So, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.